Welcome back to our Marketing Deep Dive series. Last time, we took a look at the 4 Ps of marketing. Product and price and place and promotion.
Right.
But today we're going to kind of go a bit deeper. We're going to roll up our sleeves and really unpack each of these Ps.
That's right.
So buckle up. We're going to kick things off with product. And this is really the foundation of any successful marketing strategy. And we've got some really fascinating insights from the source material you shared that's going to make you rethink how you see everyday products.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing how much strategic thinking goes on behind the scenes, even for seemingly simple products.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, have you ever wondered why some products like those iconic glass Coca-Cola bottles seem to just defy time,
Yeah.
while others just vanish almost overnight?
It all comes down to understanding the intricate journey a product takes from its initial conception to its ultimate fate in the market. And that journey is what we call the product life cycle.
Okay, so break down this life cycle for me. What are the key stages a product goes through?
Well, imagine a company like Tesla developing their self-driving technology. This is the initial research and development phase. It's all about innovation and testing and refining. A time of high costs and zero revenue.
So it's like all that behind-the-scenes work before a movie premieres. Everyone's bustling around, but the audience doesn't see any of it.
Precisely. Then comes the grand unveiling, the introduction stage. The product hits the market, all trumpets blaring. And the company focuses on creating that initial buzz and attracting those first brave adopters. Think about the launch of the Apple Watch. It was a media frenzy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Everyone was talking about it, whether they understood it or not.
Exactly. But marketing during this stage is like fueling a rocket launch. It requires a huge investment, and sales might be slow at first. Then, if all goes well, we enter the growth phase. This is where things get exciting. Sales climb, profits soar, and the product starts gaining real traction in the market.
It's like the product found its footing and is ready to take on the world.
You got it. Think about electric vehicles, specifically the Tesla Model 3. Demand has skyrocketed globally, and they're rapidly expanding their market presence. But like everything in life, growth can't last forever. Eventually, we reach the maturity stage.
So that wild ride of growth eventually settles down.
Exactly. Sales peak and stabilize. But here's the catch. Competition intensifies. Companies are now battling to hold on to their market share, and things can get pretty fierce.
So instead of focusing on rapid expansion, it becomes more about defending your territory.
Precisely. Think of a product like Coca-Cola. They've achieved legendary status, but they have to constantly innovate and adapt to maintain their dominance. And finally, we reach the inevitable, the decline stage.
The bittersweet end of an era. But what actually leads to a product's decline?
Several factors come into play. Sometimes the market becomes saturated, or new technologies emerge that make the product obsolete. Remember DVD players, streaming services like Netflix, completely revolutionized how we consume entertainment, leaving DVDs in the dust.
Yeah, it's a classic example of how innovation can disrupt even the most established markets. But do companies just passively accept decline? Or can they fight back?
That's where things get interesting. Savvy companies employ clever extension strategies to try and breathe new life into their aging products.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Tell me more about these strategies. What are some real-world examples?
Well, think about Pringles. Adding those resealable lids to their chips, it seems like a small change, but it addressed a major consumer need and extended the product's appeal, delaying its potential decline.
Brilliant. Such a simple solution can have a huge impact. What are some other ways companies try to keep their products in the game?
Well, take Samsung, for instance. They often release software updates that improve the cameras on older phone models, making them more appealing even when newer models are out. And Lego, a brand traditionally associated with children's toys, has brilliantly expanded its market by introducing more complex and sophisticated sets that appeal to adults.
So it's all about finding creative ways to adapt and stay relevant.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the power of pricing. Even something as simple as a price reduction can be an effective expansion strategy. Think about older iPhones becoming more affordable when newer models are released. It keeps those older models selling and delays their inevitable decline.
So managing a product's life cycle is like playing a strategic game of chess, anticipating the next move and adapting to the ever-changing market.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about much more than just creating a product and hoping for the best. It's about understanding customer needs, differentiating yourself from competitors, and constantly innovating to stay ahead of the curve.
Now, before we move on, there's another crucial aspect we need to unpack. Product differentiation. It's not enough to just create a product. It has to stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. In a world overflowing with choices, differentiation is key. It's about having that unique selling proposition or USP. That makes your product a must-have.
Can you give me an example of a brand that nailed its USP?
Let's go back to Dyson. Their bagless vacuum cleaners were a game changer. It wasn't just that they were powerful and efficient, it was the bagless technology itself that set them apart. It was their USP. And it resonated with consumers who were tired of the hassle and expense of replacing bags.
That's so true. It makes me think about how certain brands just evoke a particular feeling or image. Like when I think of Nike, I instantly picture athletic performance and pushing boundaries. It's more than just shoes and apparel, it's a whole attitude.
You've hit on a key point there. Strong product differentiation is about crafting a compelling narrative and image. That connects with your target audience on an emotional level.
So it's not just about features and benefits, it's about creating a brand identity that resonates with customers' values and aspirations.
Exactly. And that's why understanding your target audience is crucial. Who are you trying to reach? What are their needs, their desires, their pain points? By answering these questions, you can start to develop a product that truly stands out from the competition and captivates your target market. Now, while crafting a winning product is essential, managing an entire portfolio of products is a whole other ballgame. And that's where the Boston Matrix comes in.
Okay, I've heard of the Boston Matrix, but honestly, it always sounded a bit intimidating. Can you break it down for me in a way that even I can understand?
Absolutely. Imagine a simple chart divided into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant represents a different type of product based on its market share and market growth rate. Think of it as a way to categorize your products based on their performance and potential.
Okay, I'm starting to visualize it.
Yeah.
So what are these different categories?
Let's start with the stars, shall we? These are the products that make every CEO smile. They boast high market share in rapidly growing markets. It's like having a winning lottery ticket.
So they're the golden children of the product portfolio.
Exactly. Think of the Tesla Model 3 again. It's dominating the booming electric vehicle market. Stars have the potential to become even bigger revenue generators. So companies often invest heavily in their marketing and development.
Makes sense. You want to nurture those stars
Mm-hmm.
and help them shine even brighter. But what about those products that aren't quite as glamorous?
Ah, yes. That brings us to the cash cows. These products have a high market share, but they're in a market that's not growing as rapidly. Think of Microsoft Office. It's a mature market, but Microsoft still rakes in tons of revenue from it.
So they're like the reliable workhorses, steadily bringing in the cash.
Precisely. Cash cows require less investment than stars, and they generate a steady stream of income that companies can use to fund other ventures. Now let's move on to the more unpredictable category, the question marks.
Oh, this sounds intriguing. What makes a product a question mark?
Yeah, question marks have low market share. In a high-growth market, they have the potential to become stars. But they also face a lot of uncertainty. Think of Google's Pixel phones. They're competing in a rapidly growing smartphone market. But they're up against giants like Apple and Samsung.
So they're like a gamble. There's potential for great rewards, but also the risk of failure.
Exactly. Companies need to carefully analyze question marks and decide whether to invest more resources, to try and turn them into stars, or to cut their losses and move on.
Sounds like a tough call to make. So what's the final category in this product matrix?
Ah, yes. We can't forget about the dogs. These poor pups have low market share. In a low-growth market, they're not generating much revenue, and their future prospects are dim.
So they're the products that companies might consider discontinuing.
That's often the case. Think of BlackBerry phones. They were once a dominant force, but they failed to adapt to the changing smartphone landscape and eventually faded into obscurity.
It's a reminder that even the most successful products can fall from grace if they don't keep up with the times.
Absolutely. Now, here's why the Boston Matrix is such a powerful tool. It helps companies visualize their entire product portfolio and make strategic decisions about resource allocation.
So it's not just about identifying winners and losers. It's about using that information to make smart business decisions.
Precisely. A balanced portfolio should ideally have a mix of stars, cash cows, and even some promising question marks. The revenue generated by the stars and cash cows can then be used to fund the development and marketing of those question marks, hoping to turn them into future stars.
Like a strategic balancing act, using the strengths of some products to support the growth of others.
You got it. The Boston Matrix helps companies allocate resources wisely, maximize their profits, and minimize their risks.
This is making me realize that the Boston Matrix isn't just a static snapshot. It's a dynamic tool That reflects how companies and products are constantly evolving.
Exactly. It's a framework for understanding the strategic decisions companies are making and anticipating future market trends.
Okay, this has been super helpful in understanding the Boston Matrix. But let's get back to the individual consumer for a second. Knowing about the Boston Matrix and about a product's life cycle in general, how does that help me make smarter decisions as a consumer?
That's a great question. Understanding these concepts can give you a real edge in the marketplace. For example, if you know a product is in its decline stage, you might be able to snag a great deal as companies try to clear out inventory.
Ooh, I love a good bargain. So it's like having insider knowledge about the retail world.
In a way, yes. You can also use this knowledge to anticipate future trends. If you see a product entering the growth phase, you might want to jump on board early, before prices go up, or demand outstrip supply.
So it's about being aware of the product's journey
Yeah.
and making informed decisions based on that knowledge.
Exactly. It's about becoming a more savvy and strategic consumer.
Okay, now that we've covered the life cycle
Mhm.
and the Boston Matrix, I'm curious at the flip side of the coin. What about the risks and rewards of developing new products?
That's a question that keeps every CEO up at night. New product development is a high-stakes game, with the potential for enormous rewards, but also significant risks.
I can imagine. It's like taking a leap of faith into the unknown.
In many ways it is. On the one hand, new products allow companies to stay competitive, meet evolving consumer needs, and diversify their revenue streams. But on the other hand, it's an expensive and time-consuming process with no guarantee of success.
So how do companies decide which new product ideas to pursue? It must be a tough call.
It's a complex process that involves extensive market research, competitor analysis, financial projections, and a healthy dose of intuition. Companies need to weigh the potential rewards against the risks involved.
It's like a balancing act between chasing innovation and managing risk.
Precisely. They need to ask themselves tough questions. Is there a real market need for this product? Can we differentiate it from the competition? Can we produce and market it profitably? And even if all the answers are yes, there's still no guarantee of success.
Sounds like a roller coaster ride of emotions. For those involved in new product development, the highs must be exhilarating, but the lows could be devastating.
That's the nature of innovation. It's not for the faint of heart. But when a new product takes off and captures the hearts and minds of consumers, it's an incredibly rewarding experience.
I can imagine. It's like watching your creation come to life.
Yeah.
And make a real impact on the world.
Exactly. And that's why companies continue to invest in new product development, despite the risks involved. It's the engine of progress and the key to staying ahead in a rapidly evolving marketplace.
This deep dive into product has been a real eye-opener. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of the strategic thinking behind the products I use every day.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And as you go about your day, I encourage you to look at products through this new lens. Think about their life cycle, their position in the market, and the decisions that went into their creation.
Yeah, I know I will.
Yeah.
It's like I've unlocked a secret code for understanding the marketplace. And speaking of codes, let's go back to that Boston Matrix for a moment. It's a great tool for companies. But can we apply it to everyday products as consumers?
Absolutely. It's a fun exercise to think about the products you use regularly and try to categorize them within the matrix.
Okay, I'm game. Let's start with streaming services. Where would you place a company like Netflix?
Well, a few years ago, Netflix was undoubtedly a star. They were pioneers in the streaming industry and enjoyed rapid growth. But with the emergence of competitors like Disney plus HBO Max and Amazon Prime Video, the market has become more saturated.
So would you say they've transitioned from a star to a cash cow?
That's a good assessment. They still hold a significant market share and generate substantial revenue. But their growth has likely slowed. They're in a position where they need to defend their territory and innovate to stay ahead.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, how about a company like Ford in the electric vehicle market?
That's an interesting one. Ford is a legacy brand that's been around for over a century, but they're a relative newcomer to the electric vehicle market. The market itself is still in a growth phase, so it wouldn't be a cash cow just yet.
So maybe they fall into the question mark category.
I think that's a fair assessment. They're investing heavily in electric vehicles, but they're playing catch-up to Tesla, which has a significant head start. It remains to be seen whether Ford can establish a strong enough market share to become a star in this space.
It's like they're navigating a tricky transition from their traditional combustion engine business into this new, rapidly evolving market.
Exactly. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
This whole conversation is making me realize that business is a dynamic game, Companies and products are constantly moving and shifting within the market.
That's precisely why tools like the Boston Matrix are so valuable. They provide a framework for understanding those shifts and anticipating future trends.
Okay, one last product category before we wrap up. Where would you place a social media platform like Facebook?
Ugh, that's a tough one. Facebook has enjoyed a long reign as a dominant social media platform. With billions of users worldwide, that suggests a high market share.
But haven't they been facing challenges lately? I've heard concerns about declining user engagement and increasing competition from platforms like TikTok, particularly among younger demographics.
You're right. Those are important factors to consider. The social media landscape is constantly changing, and Facebook is no longer the untouchable giant it once was.
So maybe they're moving out of the star phase
Mm,
and into more uncertain territory.
That's a plausible assessment. It's too early to label them a dog just yet. But their future trajectory will depend on their ability to adapt and innovate in a rapidly evolving social media landscape.
Wow, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the strategic thinking behind the products I encounter every day.
I'm thrilled to hear that, and I hope it inspires you to look at the marketplace with a more critical and informed eye.
I know it will. This episode has been a fantastic way to kick off our deeper exploration of the 4Ps of marketing. I can't wait to dive into price next time.
I'm looking forward to it.
A huge thank you to Google Notebook LM for the audio and AI assistance.
Indeed.
And as always, this episode was a PLC strategy production.